Well, thank you for that. That's a blessing to us. We're grateful. This is the day the Lord has made, and we can rejoice and be glad in it. And I'm looking forward to this morning as we do conduct the business of the assembly. And as Steve has said, Christy and I are going to share a little bit about our family, about us. We felt like since this is the first time that we'll be with you as the Prairie Lakes District, that we would let you get to know us a little better. So, Christy, come on up if you would and talk to us a little bit about our family.
Good morning. So David and I were 16 years old when we met at a minor league baseball game on the 4th of July in Oklahoma City. Now, I was there with my parents to watch the game and see the fireworks, and David was there with his friend looking for girls. So about the 9th inning, he met me, and he asked me 2 questions. He asked my name, and then he said, "Where do you go to church?" And I thought, well, that was interesting because I didn't go to church. I didn't grow up in the church. But he grew up in Bethany, and I don't think he knew any girls that did not go to church. So I was something new. And I think he started thinking dating evangelism. Yes. It might be real. Well, it worked. He started taking me to the Church of the Nazarene, his home church. And there I found a people who loved me and accepted me, and I met Jesus there. And he changed my life forever. And then we did a crazy thing. We got married when we were 18 years old. I don't recommend it. So just to give you an insight into how ready we were to be married at 18, that summer we moved into an efficiency apartment on the campus of Southern Nazarene University, into this efficiency apartment. And if you've ever seen one, they're extremely small. We had a bed and we had a TV. So with our first combined paycheck, we thought we should buy something for the apartment. Maybe a little table and chairs or a little couch or something. We bought a Nintendo. Mm-hmm. We had fun that summer just sitting on the floor playing video games. That's right. Just an insight into myself. I love to laugh. I love to have fun. And I love daring kinds of things, so the higher it goes and the faster it goes, I love it. For David, he loves to read. He loves to play golf. And behind this very handsome face is an ornery soul. Because he's the one who's hiding in the dark behind the door, waiting for me to pass by. And I told him that I'm coming to the age now, it might become a medical emergency. Well, we have been married 42, 41, something like that.
I think it's 41.
Yeah. And I just want to tell you that we love each other. And we've loved each other through the good times and the hard times. Mm-hmm. Well, I want to just quickly introduce you to our family. So if we could pull up the first slide. Oh. This is my oldest daughter, our oldest daughter, Megan, and she's in the pink in the middle. She is an ICU nurse, and her husband, David, is a medical doctor, and our 4 of our 7 grandchildren. And the next slide, this is our son, Ben, his wife, Alicia, and Ben works for the federal government and law enforcement, and Alicia is a counselor, and our 2 grandsons. When they come to our house, we love it, but it is all hands on deck, and I always say, clean up on aisle 9. Yeah. So, but our Ezra, who's standing in front of Ben, he is autistic. And he has this beautiful mind. He's very intelligent. So we always love to hear things that come from him. So his parents have been reading to him the Bible book that's in story form. And one morning he woke up and he said, "Dad, I had a dream last night where I saw Jesus." He said, "It was like a miracle in my mind." So we loved that. And the next slide is our youngest daughter, Madison. She is a second grade school teacher, and her husband, Matt, is a athletic director for a large school system. And then our youngest, Camden. Now, in this job that we have, we travel around the world, and we always get asked about some of the interesting foods that we eat. So I'm just going to share a few of those with you this morning for fun. So this first one, we had this in Vietnam, and it's real spiky, and you pop it open, and it tastes like a grape. It's really good. You can get it at any Asian market. The next one, we were in China, and this is a fish crushed up into, little dough balls. Well, you just don't always ask what's going on, but they use the whole fish. But I really enjoyed it. Dave didn't care for it. The next one. This is very healthy for you. It's lotus root soup. I could eat this every day. It actually just tastes like a potato. We had this in Korea, and the only thing I can say about this, it's a beautiful presentation. This was a good one. We were down in the southern tip of Argentina, and this is a calafate berry, and then they make everything out of it, and the ice cream. I just had to have it every day. It was great. Well, I went to Scotland, and I've always heard of haggis, and so I had to try it. And I really liked it. It's a lot like our sausage. Oh, we don't know what's in that either. Now, the next one just came to me looking just like that, and I had a pair of chopsticks. And I honestly did not know what to do. And so I didn't. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this next section just automatically follows the food section. And so if you've ever been on work and witness trips, you know you can be kind of surprised at times. And here are a few of our surprise or challenges. So David's in Papua New Guinea, and they're just a lot shorter there. And this was my challenge. No one told me about this. And I saw it in the Singapore airport, which is a beautiful airport, but I thought I was in the men's restroom. And I found out I was not. And I just looked at that, and I thought, I am in trouble for the next 2 years. But my favorite restroom in the world is in Japan, because they have restrooms, they have the seats that heat, they dry, they wash, and sometimes they play music. It's awesome. Thank you.
Good job. Good job. So what Christy's trying to say is for 2 years in Asia, she didn't go to the bathroom. Well, I want to tell you a little bit about what's going on in your global church. And as we said last night, 165 countries of the world and 2.7 million members and growing. You're a part of a very big Nazarene family, 30,000 churches plus. Something happened a year ago this past June that was important for us. It was the General Assembly in Indianapolis, Indiana. Were any of you there in person by chance? Raise your hand if you were able to be at the General Assembly. A few of you were. How many of you have ever been in person to a General Assembly? Raise your hand. So a really good number of you. This is one of the most amazing experiences we have in the church because of all the ethnicities and the languages and the cultures that intersect that still unite as the Nazarene family. It's an amazing experience, and if you've never had the opportunity to go, I hope that you'll plan to try to do that. It'll happen again in June in 3 years from now, and it will be in a location closer to you. So I think that'll be revealed here even in the next few weeks, possibly. But thank you for the way that you support the General Assembly. The next slide is one of my favorite kind of informal pictures. A friend of mine sent me this of his, I think he's about a 12-year-old son. He didn't get to go to the General Assembly, but he said he watched every single worship service and every single business session online. He couldn't get enough. He's already a full-fledged Nazarene, and I love the intergenerational part of that. The next slide is a picture of something in the exhibit hall, and we had all of the general superintendents in life-size cutouts. You know, this is Flat David here with some of my grandkids. Two of them are on FaceTime Live behind me. This other is a picture of Dr. Deal. Dr. Deal apparently saw, let's go back to that picture. The way they cut out around my head, they left two little white areas under my earlobes that look like earrings. So this is Dr. Deal trying to take the earring off of my ear. Yeah, and the next slide is a picture of the new Board of General Superintendents. To the far right, to the far right of that group is Dr. Christian Sarmiento. He had been the regional director of South America for 20 years. And then next to him, Dr. Scott Daniels. He had been pastor of College Church in Nampa, Idaho. And we're so grateful for these two new members of the Board of General Superintendents. And then you know Carla Sundberg and Philly Chambo and Gustavo Crocker and myself. We always, one of the protocols we have as a general superintendent is we line up in the order in which we were elected. And to my surprise, I found out that this is my third board that I've been a part of. The first board included J.K. Warwick and Jerry Porter, and the second board included David Graves and Eugenio Duarte. And I walked into the general superintendent's office a few months ago, and to my shock, I was the very first one on the list. For 12 years now, I'm the senior member of the Board of General Superintendents. Not the oldest, but I am the most tenured member. The next slide is a formal picture of the Board of General Superintendents, and I show you this because I want you to see the global nature of our board, not just of our church. There's no mandate from the General Assembly that says that a general superintendent needs to be elected from the various regions of the world, but the General Assembly has chosen to do that. And I'll give you a little example here. Right there, go back to the other slide. Right there is Dr. Chambo in the front row. He's from Mozambique. Christian Sarmiento is from Colombia, South America. Gustavo Crocker from Guatemala. Carla Sundberg was born in Germany. She spoke German before she spoke English. And then two white guys from the United States. I want to say something about this board, though, and this has been true for every board that I've been on, how privileged I feel to be a part of working with these leaders. You can imagine with us coming from different cultures and different experiences that we don't agree on everything, but I fully trust the integrity and the character of my colleagues. I know their heart for the church. I trust their heart implicitly, and it's my privilege, I want to say that, to be able to work with these kind of spirit-filled leaders. And then the next slide is the more informal picture of the board. How many general superintendents can you get on an elevator? That many. And again, Dr. Crocker looks terrified behind me there. All right, next slide. This is a slide to remind us of the fact that we are a sending missionary church. Every February at the General Board meeting, the General Board is like a local church board or a district advisory board, only it's for the general church. It's about 50 to 60 people from every region of the world that are elected by the General Assembly. And at that General Board meeting, we always commission new Nazarene missionaries. This is the most recent one. On this list, you see 9 total missionaries. And when you pay and support the World Evangelism Fund, I want to remind you, you're also supporting MKs, So this also represents 4 missionary kids. This group comes from 4 countries of origin, and they speak 6 different languages. And this is actually a smaller group than we've had in recent days. We've averaged about 25 for the last 2 or 3 years. But what I want you to see of note here is that we are now sending more missionaries from outside the USA, Canada, and other world areas than we are from USA, Canada. And that's not a slam on USA, Canada. Yeah, that's actually an answer to our missionary prayers. And some of the people who are coming as missionaries to the U.S. from other countries, they're coming to us. How many of you know that the U.S. needs some missionaries? So again, this represents the global nature of our church. The next slide is a picture of us commissioning the newest world area. The 165th world area for the Church of the Nazarene is in Belgium. And this is a picture of us as the Board of General Superintendents with our hands on a globe. Now, where's this globe from? This globe was something that Dr. J.B. Chapman and R.T. Williams were using in their general superintendent's room whenever they would pray over a new country that they believed God wanted us to go into. They would look at that globe, pray over the globe, and then when it came time to commission and open the new country, they would bring that globe to the general board meeting, put their hands on the country in which they were wanting to go, and asking God to open doors for the work of the Church of the Nazarene in holiness evangelism there. And this is us. We still do that, asking the Lord to open doors for us as we go into Belgium. I might mention here that this is the second country now. The 2 most recent countries have been sponsored by the Netherlands District Church of the Nazarene. Even in a very secular part of the world like the Netherlands, the Church of the Nazarene there has stayed on mission, and this is their second world area to sponsor in the last 3 years. So we're grateful to the Netherlands District. The next slide is what I call a myth buster slide, because there is an urban legend that kind of gets floated around that says this, that the Church of the Nazarene in the USA, Canada is kind of plateaued and in decline. Nothing really missional is happening here, but we have the money, so we write the checks for global missions, but the real missionary action is outside the U.S. That is not true. And this slide tells you that it's not true. For example, this is the 2023 USA-Canada statistical summary. So what you're going to see on the screen here only represents the Church of the Nazarene in USA-Canada, this region that we're on. So last year alone, we had 4,417 local churches. 33,456 people came to Christ through the ministry of the Church of the Nazarene in USA, Canada. That's your churches. 21,029 people joined the Church of the Nazarene in USA, Canada. We planted 71 new churches. These are not parent-affiliated churches. These are real baby churches, fully organized. Again, this is actually a little bit down from what we've had in previous years. We've averaged 90 to 100 over the last several years, but this averages out to be about 1 new baby church per district. And look at the generosity, $52 million plus given to global missions through the Church of the Nazarene in USA, Canada. That doesn't sound like a dead church to me. Now, is it true that there are churches in the United States that are plateaued and in decline? Of course that's true. That's true in every denomination in the United States and around the world. In fact, you may not know this, but the average lifespan of any evangelical church in the United States, of any denomination, is 40 years. Which means that if your church where you are is more than or over the age of 40, you're already breaking the odds of the majority of churches. Now, some churches reach a point where they need to go to heaven. And we need to celebrate the work that God has done. Because a church closes doesn't mean that God hasn't been at work there. We celebrate the victories, the kingdom things that have happened in that church. But here's the thing I want you to know. If your church is over the age of 40, it doesn't mean you have to die. But what it does mean is that if you don't do anything intentional to reset the missional vision of that church and to recalibrate and to pray for a new movement of the Spirit upon you, then the chances are that you are likely to begin to plateau and go into the normal cycle of dying. But I pastored a church that was 100 years old, and we were seeing the best years that we had ever seen. So it's not something that has to happen. But that's one of the reasons why we put a lot of our emphasis on church renewal and helping local churches and pastors and boards rethink the missional strategy for how they're going to reach their city and be a holiness witness in that place. But it also represents something else. Did you know that in the USA, Canada, I believe it's something like 65% of our churches in USA, Canada are over the age of 40? So I want you to let that sink in for a second. That's a very significant number. 65% or so of all of our churches of the Nazarene in USA, Canada are over the age of 40, which again means not only if we're not continually emphasizing renewal in churches, but if we're also not planting churches, we need to be planting 4 to 5 times as many churches as we're closing. Otherwise, that's the definition of a plateau. And I will say, Prairie Lakes and what you've been doing over the last 15 to 20 years, you have been really doing well in church planting, and I'm thankful for that. There is a little bit of a myth, and Steve may speak to this, and that is that districts plant churches. I want to say to you, districts can help plant churches, but the best church plants are planted by other local churches. And we need to get over the idea that in order to have a successful baby church planted, that we need 100 people, we need $250,000 of property, a nice parking lot, and 3 full-time staff. That is not the way we plant churches. That's not the recipe. You can plant churches in a park. You can plant churches in an apartment building. You can plant churches in a home. There's many different ways to plant a church. What we have to have is a call, and we have to have people who are willing to make the sacrifices to do it. So help us to plant baby churches. You say, well, what if we plant 10 churches in Prairie Lakes District over the next 10 years and only 6 of them become flourishing churches? Would that be worth it? Of course it would be worth it. Because just like people, not all baby churches survive in the long term, but those who do begin to attract new believers, and sociologically we know that many new believers are attracted to newer churches. It's not that they don't come to established churches, but it's a fact that people outside the church are typically attracted to new churches. So let's both emphasize church planting and church renewal. Are you with me on that? All right, the next slide is something I only show in the U.S. assemblies because it only applies to the USA, but this has to do with Nazarene benefits. It used to be called pensions and benefits, but now it's just Nazarene benefits. Pastors and board members, if you have not seen the new strategy of Nazarene benefits, please check that out. There's some new arrangements that I think are going to greatly help our pastors prepare for retirement and beyond. And that also supports, by the way, spouses of pastors. The next slide is something that I think is encouraging. You can see back in 2012, our single defined benefit plan funding status was only at 54%. And that was not at a level we needed it to be. And the Board of General Superintendents, the General Board, and the Nazarene colleges in USA, they made a decision. And the Nazarene colleges and the president said, we care so much about our retired ministers that we want you to take a portion of what is being sent to the colleges from the local churches and apply that percentage to help us get this up to a funding status that is healthy again. And so since 2012 all the way to 2023, that's what we've done. And you can see the impact of it. As of 21, we were at 100% funded, and as of 23, 88% funded. And we're very grateful to Mid-America and to the other Nazarene universities that helped us to get there. You are going to see an adjustment now. It's not going to be an impact at the local church level, but the percentage is going to go back now to be where it was prior to that, back to the colleges, because the benefit plan is now at a good place. So one more thing on this. Lay people, go back to your church, if you would. Ask your church treasurer, how are we doing supporting our pastor as they think about their retirement? Are we doing anything, and how can we do better? Did you know that if you do $1 of support to Nazarene benefits, $1, your pastor immediately receives benefits they wouldn't normally receive? They receive more life insurance. They receive more, rehabilitation? I forget what that's called, Steve, but they receive other benefits as well. Now, obviously, we want you to be 100% supportive of pensions and benefits because we want to support our pastors in retirement. But even any participation helps your pastor to have more benefits than they would have otherwise. Well, the last story I want to tell you here has to do with Cordoba, Argentina. The next slide shows you that Cordoba, Argentina, Church of the Nazarene is there. Cordoba is a very secular city. It's the place in Argentina where all of their universities are, and so it's been said that 25% of their population might be atheistic or agnostic, and that's what the government reports. So you can imagine it might be even greater than that. So this is hard ground. In fact, in this particular neighborhood of Cordoba where the Church of the Nazarene is, 250,000 people or so, there's 3 churches. There's a Catholic church, there's a Mormon church, and there's a Church of the Nazarene. So how did we get in that really hard ground place? Well, the next slide shows you our missionaries, Junior and Jossie Rodriguez. This is me ordaining them. They're from Brazil, so they grew up speaking Portuguese. They learned a second language. They learned Spanish, and now they're planting churches supported by the World Evangelism Fund all through South America. And this is a newer picture of them with their 2 daughters. When they went into Cordoba, they were trying to find a place to plant the church, and they were in this very, very expensive, exclusive neighborhood that's been gentrified, and so the real estate cost was way beyond what we could afford, but they found this one storefront in the midst of that high-level real estate that was way below market price. And they couldn't understand why it was so low until they found out that for the previous 20 years, that place had been an illegal abortion clinic. There had been hundreds of babies aborted in that place over the last 20 years. And not only that, but the woman who ran the illegal abortion clinic, she had died in that house, and they didn't find her body for 6 months. And so everybody was saying, that place is cursed. We want nothing to do with that. And so the price of the housing went down, 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 until finally the Church of the Nazarene said, we'll take it. We're going to take that place of death, and we're going to turn it into a place of life. And we're going to take that place of darkness, and we're going to turn it into a place of light. And that's exactly what's happened today. There's a growing Nazarene church there. They run about 60 people. That's like saying 5,000 people here in the Prairie Lakes District. And it's exciting to see what's happening there. Now, here's the backstory. Junior and Jossie and their 2 girls, they live on the upstairs of that storefront above the church. Behind their little apartment is a patio with 1 peach tree. It's 1 peach tree that in its entire existence had never produced a single peach. It was fruitless. It was barren until Junior and Jossie and the Church of the Nazarene moved in. And all of a sudden, that peach tree wouldn't stop making peaches. It started producing so many big, juicy peaches that they couldn't eat them all. They were falling onto the ground. Some of them were falling into their neighbor's yard. And one day, they got a knock on their front door. It was their atheistic neighbor lady. Jossie answered the door, and she said, "Oh, no, I think I know why you're here. It's the peaches, right? I'm so sorry. We'll come over. We'll clean that out of your yard and take care of that today." And the neighbor lady said, "No, no, no, no. It is the peach tree, but it's not because I'm upset. It's because I have a question for you." She said, "I know what this place used to be. I also know that peach tree has never made a peach until you moved in. And I just want to know, what spell did you put on your peach tree? Because I got some trees in my yard, and I want you to come over and put the spell on them." And Jossie did what you did. She just laughed, and she said, "Oh, no, it's not a spell. But let me tell you what I think is happening here." And she began to tell just how when Jesus shows up on the scene, all things become new. Not only are people's lives transformed, but all of creation is renewed. And she said, "I think Jesus being here has made that peach tree bear fruit again." The lady was so intrigued by that conversation. She said to her on the front porch, "Do you think we could get together for coffee again soon? I want to hear more about Jesus." For the next 3 months, they met together over coffee, and today, that former atheistic neighbor lady is a born-again, Spirit-filled Christian and a member of Cordova First Church of the Nazarene. All because a peach tree wouldn't stop making peaches. Brothers and sisters, aren't you glad that the Spirit of God is ahead of the church? He's opening doors, he's doing things, he's bearing fruit in ways that we couldn't possibly do it on our own. Jesus said, "I am the vine, you are the branch." He said, "Apart from me, you can do nothing, but with me, all things are possible." And I don't know what kind of ground you're sowing gospel seed in today. Some of you are in very fruitful places. Others of you are in hard, rocky places. But I just want to tell you, I believe that God's going to continue to help you to do things with His Spirit that you couldn't do otherwise. So don't give up hope. He's the vine, you're the branch. I pray for more peaches and better peaches all across the Prairie Lakes District. The last thing I want you to see is a very short music video. And I love to see the video. I've seen it many times, but I love it because it represents the beautiful diversity of the Church of the Nazarene. Every single person playing an instrument or singing is a real Nazarene worship leader from around the world. These are not YouTubers. We didn't just pull together a collection of people. These are worship leaders. And it's going to just show you at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see a world map. So as the song's being played, if someone from that world area is playing or singing, you're going to see it light up. But just take a look at what it means for you to be a part of the Church of the Nazarene.
Whose love is mighty.
Love it. Turn to your neighbor, stand up right now, would you please, and turn and greet someone next to you and just say, this is us. This is us.